Joining us now, the TIME100 Impact Award honoree,
our friend, Steven Spielberg!
My God. I have never been more proud in my working professional career than being able to find in 1981 6-year-old Drew Barrymore and in early 1983 11-year-old Quan. I just was so lucky to find them both, and they have not changed in all these years. And it's really interesting, after we made E.T., Drew flew out to London when we were shooting Indiana Jones, and that's where she and Key became best friends on the set. So thank you. Thank you so much. Drew, Key, thank you. Thank you, Edward Felsenthal and Jess Sibley. I know where all of you are. I know that's Edward there. Sam Jacobs, and of course, Mark Benioff, who have made all of this possible for all of us. Thank you so much. In the first issue of Time, on March 3rd, 1923, there was a review of a movie called Down to the Sea in Ships, directed by Elmer Clifton and starring Clara Bow. A few of you may have heard of Clara Bow. It was a story of whalers on a whaling ship. And we don't know who the critic was because in those days, Time didn't give bylines. But whoever it was wrote, this is the quote from the review: "When one irritated sea monster starts crunching a boat and its occupants like a peppermint stick directly in front of the camera, it is difficult to keep the shivers out of your spine." Wow, a big fish eating a boat. I wish I'd thought of that. You know, apparently the people who plunked down the 15 cents on March 3rd, 1923, to buy the first issue had some things in common with all of us. And that isn't surprising, though the world was very different 100 years ago. Those first readers of Time magazine had made it through the Great War, had gone through an influenza pandemic. Prohibition was on. The lynch law kept Jim Crow in place. The first Red Scare was roiling up American nativism, xenophobia, and fears of further immigration. Sounds like today. There have been some positive signs also of progress then. When Time first hit the newsstands, women had been voting for 3 years, but only white women. The 20th century was underway, and people had begun to wake up to an awareness that history was accelerating, that progress wasn't going to be a steady march up a gentle slope toward a shining city on a hill. But Time magazine was there for my grandparents, for my mom and my dad, and for me, helping us to understand the world, because Time magazine is one of America's, it's one of the world's constants. And with such an incredible lifespan, it's practically the Lake Sturgeon of news magazines. Lake Sturgeon's longevity happens only if an institution endures and also then changes. And Time magazine today, I think, is recognizably Time magazine of 100 years ago because it hasn't abandoned its foundational premise and promise that there is an objective reality and that there are facts and there are truths and falsehoods. And since our collective enterprise, democracy, depends entirely on our grasp of what's real and what's fantasy, we need news sources, newspapers, news magazines, and news programs fanatically dedicated to the pursuit of truth. We need the news as much as we need food, water, and air. And across 100 years, Time magazine hasn't always gotten everything right, as the magazine itself has acknowledged, but that's one of Time's strengths, that acknowledgement. Time over time has changed itself, which is why it's lasted, because nothing survives unless it changes. Now, I'm just one of Time's many loyal fans. I've read it since I learned how to read 2- and 3-syllable words. And lucky me, I get to say thank you tonight to the generations of reporters, editors, writers, administrators, and film critics who have kept Time alive, kept them truth-seeking, and kept them growing. All of us dream of making an impact, and I am grateful to Time for acknowledging some of the dents I've managed to make in my career, my very long career. I'm not like a lake sturgeon yet, but I'm working on that. And it's truly an honor and a thrill to be here tonight with so many extraordinary, impactful people, all of us celebrating 100 years of Time magazine. Congratulations to all of us. Thank you.